Okay, everybody, so let's talk Revit user interface. So here is a handout that I'm going to give to you for ARC Software 2 and electrical and mechanical systems. Either way, no matter what example that I'm going to show you today, the user interface is the same whether you're working on MEP systems or architectural structural. Okay, it's all the same. So this lecture applies to both classes. So here's the handout I'm going to give you. As we go through this, I would say we're going to kind of go into Revit now. So you could just watch the lecture and just kind of soak it in. You could have this open on the side as we open Revit, and you can kind of look at both. It's up to you. Don't sweat it if you can't open Revit right now while you watch this. Okay, so I'm just going to move this handout over. Okay, and now I'm just going to go down to the big R down here for Revit. If you're doing remote access, you're going to see an R icon over here for Revit as your desktop shortcut. So you can find it in here if you want and just type in Revit. Say I have 2019, 2020, or you can do it right on the bottom one here. Okay, open Revit, right? Everybody knows how to do that. But if you have any issues, contact me. So Revit's opening here, and it's going to take us to this sort of landing page, which looks like this. Okay, so basically we have two sections in here, and Revit's saying, what do you want to do? Do you want to start something new, or do you want to open something? Okay, now do we want to start a new model, a new project file, or do we want to make a new family, or open a project, or open a family? What the heck's the difference? So you can think of the difference between like a model project file and families is families reside within models. So a family might be a piece of furniture, a parametric window that you designed, a cool door that you designed, a generic model, just something that is very specific to the project, but you need to have it in your model so it's visible because the client needs to see it. All that can be made in a separate file, and then we sort of import those families into the project file. So in this case, we're not going to get into families for either class this semester. We're going to do that in later classes, but we're going to definitely make a project file together. So I'm going to go to models and click new. And the first thing it's asking me for is, what template would you like to use? Now, templates are a way that Revit pre-populates the file with things that it thinks you might need for your particular project before you begin. So if I click on this little down arrow here, it says, hey, structural template, mechanical template, construction template. I don't know why architectural template's not in there. It's kind of annoying. But if I go to browse, there's all kinds of other templates. Personally, I like to start with a default template because in a default template, it's not already populated, and you can build up that file on your own. Okay, so I'm just going to hit open. So now we have, you hit open and then it says, okay, it's going to apply default template. Now you just hit okay. So now we're going to have a nice clean project file to sort of start our project in. So here we are. We're in Revit. So let's just go through the big chunks here so you're well aware of what's what. I'm going to refer to my little handout, but I will, of course, spell everything out for you. So first is just something good to know. Let me just maximize this, is the File tab here. File tab is where you're going to go in and you can open other models. You can see what you currently have open. And with this little guy right here, you can see your recent files that you had open. So this is kind of your typical open, save, new file, printing kind of menu. Okay, that should be pretty self-explanatory. Think about like Microsoft Word or something like that. They all have like file, right? Okay, so just good to know that's where save is. Your next toolbar you want to be aware of is this top one right here on the upper left-hand corner. That's a baby crying. So that is called the Quick Access Toolbar, otherwise known as QAT, Quick Access Toolbar. You can customize this. I wouldn't worry about that, but really nice way to just go up and hit save or open or do some other things, which I'll bring to your attention when we do them. But basically, that's what that is. Quick access toolbar. Really good to know and use. The next toolbar is sort of in the middle here. So QAT on the left, in the middle, that's called your application title bar. Seems like I don't even need to point that one out, but let me just tell you something that's important about it is it tells you what version of Revit you're in, which is good to know just to be aware because of if I sent you, say, a 2021 file and you, which I won't do, by the way, and you have a 2020 file, you can't open a 2021 in a Revit 2020. So it's just good to know which one you got. And then it also will show the name of the file you're in. In this case, it's just called Project One. And it also tells me what view I'm in. Currently, I'm in the level 1 view, and you can see that right here. I'm in the level 1 view, and you can also see it in bold down here. I'll talk about those in a minute, but that's giving you actually quite a bit of information right there. To the right of that, E, well, on the handout, it's letter E. I have the info center here. So there's just some things that you could look up here for like help. There's also this sign in for Autodesk A360. You could just Google Autodesk A360. It's basically an online cloud service for all things like Autodesk and any other type of file too. So you could sort of upload a lot of information to it and share it with other people. We probably won't be using that, but feel free to go ahead and take a look. You should be able to sign in with your Autodesk account profile right in here. That should work for both. So just a note on that, if you want to download any of the software, I have that information in the syllabus, but you need to create an Autodesk account. Okay, that's E. All right, so F, that is, let me see what I have. F, ribbon, tool panels. Let me see here. Did I skip one? Oop, I skipped C. I'm sorry. So I went to Quick Access Toolbar to the application menu. And then I went to this info center. Letter C on my handout is ribbon tool tab. So this whole bar across the top, right up here, like this whole thing is called the ribbon. This is where you go to get any tool you need. And here's how it's organized. Basically, these up here are the ribbon tabs. And each tab contains several panels. In this case, in the architecture tab, we have a build panel, circulation panel, model panel, and so on. Okay. And within the panels are tools. So if I say go to the wall tool, which is in the architecture tab, in the build panel, there's the wall tool. So that's how you find it. So I actually described a couple things there. We have the ribbon as a whole, the ribbon tabs, the ribbon panel, and then, of course, the tools within the ribbon. So that takes us to through a couple of these. On my list here, the F, tool panels, G, tools. Okay, H. That is this space right in here. It just looks like an empty gap right now. That's called the options bar. So the options bar is really important, but it only is activated when certain tools are in use. So let me just go to a tool. I'm going to go to wall. Okay. And I'm just going to, now that I clicked on wall, you can see, wow, there's a lot happening right there. I'm just going to draw some walls. Perfect. I don't do things orthogonally. It's probably not a good start for beginners. But look at that. I just made a cool wall. There we go. So there we go. There's a wall. And I can click on one leg of this wall and I can change any information on it. But basically, as I was drawing the wall, I have some options in here to sort of change as I build my wall or whatever tool you're using. Okay, J, this is the view tab right here. So right now I'm looking at the level 1 floor plan. Now if I open level 2, notice another tab comes here. These walls were tall enough to go to level 2, so now I have a level 1 tab and a level 2 tab. Believe it or not, this is almost new for 2019, but boy, we could have used this a while ago. So these are view tabs. So whatever drawing I have open, you're going to see them kind of populate here. You can use Control Tab to switch between them. You can see that they're highlighting here. That's pretty useful. View tabs. Okay, so let's go to letters K and L on my little cheat sheet here. K is this guy right here. This is the Properties palette, and this is the Project Browser palette. These two palettes, extremely important. Sometimes you're going to come into Revit and you're going to be like, I can't find my Properties palette. I can't find my Project Browser. Where is everything? So let me just close these and show you how to get them back. So all I can see is the View tab right now, and I can see the kind of floor plan view. But I'm going to go up to View, the View tab up here, up on the very top in the ribbon. I know I'm calling this View tabs, but this is also a View tab. And I'm just going to go all the way to the right under the Windows panel and go to User Interface. And there we have in there Project Browser. I'm going to checkbox that. And then I'm also going to checkbox Properties. You can also hit PP to close properties and PP to open properties. You always want to have these open. Okay. They don't have to live on the left side of your screen. They can live on another monitor if you want. It's up to you, but they need to be open because you're going to use these a lot. Okay. So if I click on, say, a wall, right away I can see a lot happened in the Properties tab. It's saying to me, oh, this is this type of wall, and here's all the information about that type of wall. And you can change this information to change that wall. So I could go in here and change to a different type of wall. Let me just do this one. You can see my wall got thicker. And here's some information down here, all in here associated with that wall. It looks like a lot of stuff in here, but there's a ton of stuff we're just going to ignore because we're just not going to use it. So don't be overwhelmed by it, but there it all is. So within the Properties tab or palette, something to think about is you have a type selector and then information about whatever type is selected. So when I have nothing selected, it just reverts to the type of view that I'm in. So, because if I sort of click in space here, I'm clicking in the level 1 floor plan view. That's what's right here. Now it's just saying, hey, you're in a floor plan. Okay, so that's the Properties palette. If it's loose in your head, that's fine because you'll get used to that right away. Right below that is the Project Browser. That's basically, as the text says and as everyone knows, Grand Central Station for Revit. This controls all the views of the model. So in this case, we're on level 1 view, and you can see that it's bold right here. If I want to see level 2, I can just simply double click on it and I can see level 2 view. If I want to see the east elevation, I can click on it and I can see that. And you can see these tabs opening now in this view tabs up here. Okay. So you might build up your model and not have, like, you might have 3 levels or 4 levels in your project, but you're not seeing level 3 or level 4 over there. We'll talk about how to get those and populated within the Project Browser so you see them. So in a way, we can create our model, and then we can sort of create different views of our model. And once we create those views, that project browser will sort of populate with those views. But in some cases, we have to actually create them. Revit won't do it automatically. These views are in here right now because that's part of the default template. Okay. Don't want to get too in the weeds on that. So that's project browser. Now, M on my sheet is this whole white space here. Okay, so that is basically your modeling canvas or your 3D space. In this case, we're looking at an elevation view, but that, it's a whole world of 3D, but in this case, it's a 2D drawing. Let me go to, say, a 3D view. So I've just made a 3D view. Here's those walls I've already created. Okay. So to make a 3D view, if you just sort of want to follow along, you can hit the little house button up here. And now you can see a model in 3D if there's anything in there at all. Now, to sort of navigate about this space, there's multiple ways to do it. First way to do it is to use the navigation bar on the right-hand side. That's letter N in my little cheat sheet here. So that's this stuff over here. So because I'm in a 3D view, you're going to see this view cube. But if you're in a 2D view, you're only going to see something like that. Okay. So in a 2D view, to navigate around, you can hit the third button on your mouse, which is the wheel. You can press down on that to sort of pan around, and then use the scroll wheel sort of to zoom in and out. And that's all you would need for 2D. For 3D, you can, let's see, I use a lot of 3D programs, so I always have to remind myself about rotating. There we go. Right mouse button while holding down shift, and you can orbit, or you can use your view cube here and sort of select different vertices of this cube to sort of rotate around your model. You can even look at top view, side views, like elevational views in a 3D view, which is kind of interesting. But I can always rotate it out of 2D in a 3D view. I can't rotate to 3D in a 2D view. Okay, so I'm just playing around right now. We're not really doing anything. I'm just kind of telling you about this stuff. So that's basic navigation. There's three more areas just on the bottom here I have to point out. One is this toolbar, technically called the view control bar. This would probably be my favorite toolbar because we get into cool things like how to make this look a certain way and change some of the, you don't have to follow along here, but just change some of the look and feel of my model here. Something like this. Okay, I can also add shadows down here. Okay, so I can really start bringing this view to life. At any rate, this toolbar helps us sort of change the appearance of what we're looking at and also lets us turn things on and off, hide things like that. And then we have down on the bottom left, letter R is, I'm sorry, not R, is Q, letter Q. This down here is the status bar. Really helpful to look at if you're sort of getting lost in your modeling and creating your file. So let's say I want to make a wall. I'm going to go to wall. And if you look in the bottom left-hand side, it's sort of telling you what to do. Click to enter wall start point. Okay, right here. Now I'm moving it around. It says enter wall end point. Okay, so it kind of tells me how to use a tool that I'm in. If ever you also wanted to see a better example of how to use a specific tool, you can simply hover over a tool and it will tell you something about it. And then I can hit F1 right now for more help on that particular tool. Let's see if I go to door and just hover over it, it'll tell me about it. Also, notice that when I hover over it, it says wall. It also says WA. So if I want to make a wall right now, I can hit WA, and now I can just make a wall. Notice when I crossed the wall here, it just absorbed it and made it kind of one I made a little room. Look at that. We're making architecture. Okay. So that's the status bar. The only other thing I want to point out is the selection toggles on the bottom right-hand side. And I won't really explain anything about that except that we'll definitely use this funnel-looking one quite a bit. Because if I click on that, if I can do it. Here we go. I think I know why. Let me click on, I'm going to just drag and select all these walls. And now I'm going to click on it. And it basically tells me, hey, you got 14 walls selected. Let's say I wanted to select only the walls in my building. Okay. And there's other elements in here. So just for fun here, I will just add some doors. And I will add some windows. I'm just throwing this stuff in at this point. We're making ugly architecture today. So if I go to my 3D view, you can sort of see everything I've added there. Now, if I go back to that level 1 and I just select everything, that funnel on the bottom right-hand corner says, hey, there's 23 things selected here. So if I click on the funnel, it says you have 3 doors, 14 walls, and 6 windows. Now, I can check none of these and just check walls and then hit OK. Now only my walls are selected. So that filter down there is a great way to just select certain things. There's some other tools there that we'll get into, but no need to bring them up now. But really, this is just about the user interface. So that is it. So hopefully with this lecture, you're able to just kind of know the lay of the land on what's around here. And, you know, where everything is located in basic navigation, how you can move around on 2D drawings and how you can move around and rotate around on 3D drawings. If there's any questions, please hit me up. But that basically does it for this like intro to Revit. So for my Arc Software 2 class, we're going to be getting into our assignment 1. And then for the electrical and mechanical class, we're going to be getting into your assignment 1, which will be definitely be different. So enjoy and hit me up with anything you might need. All right. Thanks, guys.